So in this video, we are going to learn how to create TickTick tasks for Google Calendar event. Let's say you're using TickTick to match all of your daily tasks and Google Calendar to match all of your upcoming events and important dates. Now you want that whenever you create an event in Google Calendar, for the same event, you want to create the task in TickTick as well. So let me tell you, you can completely automate this process. So in this automation, whenever a new event will be created in our Google Calendar with the same details, we are going to create a task inside TickTick as well. Now, if you want to know how you can set up this kind of automation, for that, you just have to come with me to my screen.
So as you can see, this is my Google Calendar. Now I want that whenever I create an event inside my Google Calendar, I want to create a task for that same event in TickTick. Now to do this, we have to connect Google Calendar with TickTick. And we are going to use an automation and integration platform called Pabbly Connect to do so. So here you can see we are on Pabbly Connect's dashboard. And to reach this dashboard, you will get a free sign-up link of Pabbly Connect in the description box below. After coming to this dashboard, we have to create an automation workflow between Google Calendar and TickTick. And to create one, just click on Create Workflow button and give this workflow a name. Let's say I'll name it as Google Calendar to TickTick. And then just select the folder of your Pabbly Connect account in which you want to create the workflow and click on Create. And after that, here you can see the workflow is open over here. In this workflow, you can see two different windows. First one is the trigger window and second one is the action window. So triggers and actions are basically those two concepts, those two principles on which this whole automation works on, where the trigger says when this happens and the action says do this. So let's start with our trigger window. Now the idea here is, first we have to connect our Google Calendar with Pabbly Connect in the trigger step, so that whenever a new event is created in Google Calendar, automatically the details of that event will be captured inside Pabbly Connect and this automation workflow will trigger. After that, using this Pabbly Connect automation, we are going to send the details of that same event to TickTick, and for the same event, we are going to create the task in TickTick as well. So let's see how it is done. Starting from our trigger window, in Choose App, search for Google Calendar. Just select it. After selecting Google Calendar, in Trigger Event from the drop-down, select the trigger event as New Event. Then just click on Connect and select Add New Connection. Now here, we have to connect our Google Calendar account with Pabbly Connect. And to make this connection, we have to basically just click on this Sign In with Google button. And then here from this pop-up window, select your Google Calendar account. And after that, just scroll down and click on Continue. And as we click on Continue, we will see our Google Calendar account will get connected with Pabbly Connect. And after making this connection, the next thing it asks us is the calendar. So in my Google Calendar account, here you can see I have created multiple calendars over here. Out of all of these, from which particular calendar we want to get the new events and create the task for that in TickTick, we have to select that calendar from this drop-down. So I have this calendar named as Reminder. I want that whenever a new task is created in this calendar named as Reminder, from that particular calendar's event, I want to create the task in TickTick. So I have selected that. After selecting the calendar, when we click on this Save and Send Test Request button, the details of the last event, the most recent event which we have created in our calendar, will be received inside Pabbly Connect. So before clicking on this, I will just create a dummy event in my calendar. So let's say I will be creating an event for 22nd of Feb. So I'm selecting this particular date and the name of this particular event is, for example, Developers Conference. This is the name of the event. Then let me select the date and time. So the event starts at 22nd of Feb at, for example, 3 p.m. and the event ends at, for example, 6 p.m. over here. So it's a 3-hour long event. Then after that, let me add a guest. For example, I'll add this user as a guest. And then the location, I'm not entering the location. The description is, for example, we are having our annual developers conference. So just now we have entered the details of a dummy event. Now let's click on Save. And as we click on Save, you will see just now we have created an event in our Google Calendar. After creating this event, we will get back to Pabbly Connect and click on this Save and Send Test Request button. And when we click on Save and Send Test Request, here you can see we have received some response. And in this response, you will see all the details of the same event which we have created just now in Google Calendar. Here you can see the name of the same event, that is developers conference. Then after that, here you can see the start date and time of the event, that at what date and time this event is going to get started. We will scroll down further and here you can see some other details, like we have the end date and time. We also have the description of the event and the email address of the guest who is going to join us for this particular event. So this basically means that we have successfully completed the step 1 of setting up this automation, where we have received the details of the event from our Google Calendar inside Pabbly Connect. Now after this, let's move to step 2. And in step 2, what we have to do, we have to send these details of the event to TickTick so that we can create a task over here for the same. So for that, we will just scroll down, come to this action step, and here in choose app, I'll just search for TickTick. Just select TickTick over here. After selecting our application in action event from the drop down, select create a task as the action event. Then just click on connect and select add new connection. Now here we have to connect our TickTick account with Pabbly Connect. And to make this connection, just click on this connect with TickTick button. Here in this pop-up window, it will ask us for the permission. Now because I have already logged into my TickTick account in my browser, Pabbly Connect will detect the same account. Just click on this allow button. And as we click on allow, we will see our TickTick account will get connected with Pabbly Connect. After making this connection, the first thing it asks us is the project ID. That what is the product, in which project in our TickTick account we want to create a task. Now you must be thinking how you can get this project ID. So to get it, we will just go to our TickTick account, and here on the left sidebar, here you can see the projects which I have in TickTick. Let's say I have this project named as PC. And under this project, I want to create the task using this automation. So what we are going to do here, after selecting this particular project in the URL section, after p/ and before /task, you can see this ID. This is your project ID. You just have to copy this project ID from here, from the URL section, and paste it over here. And this is how we are going to enter the project ID in which we want to create the task. After project ID, it is asking us for the task title. That what will be the title of the task which we are creating. So here from Google Calendar responses in the trigger step, we have received the response of the event name. And by the same event name, we are going to create the task. So what we have to do, we have to basically map this response of event name from the Google Calendar trigger step responses to this TickTick action step. And the process of mapping is very simple. Simply click on this field, and here in this drop down, you can see a list of all the responses which we have received from Google Calendar. Out of all of these responses, select the response of summary and map it over here. After task title, it is asking us for the content, for the description of this task. So we have received the description of the event as well. So we will just click on this field and we will use the same process of mapping once again. From this drop down, we will select the response of the event description which we have received from Google Calendar, select it and map it over here. After mapping the description, it is asking us for the start date and due date. Now these fields of start date and due date are not mandatory. So if you want, you can just ignore these two fields as well. But for a safer side, let's say I want to add the due date over here. I want to enter the event end time, that at what date and time this event is going to get ended. I want to add that date and time over here in the due date. So what we have to do, we have to basically enter that due date over here. We can map it. But before mapping it, we will read the help text which says enter the due date and time here. Format should be used year, month, date, t, hours, minutes and seconds. Note that the date and time should be entered manually, example this. So it is asking us that we have to enter the due date of the event in this particular format. Now here you will see we will scroll up, and in the Google Calendar responses which we have received, in these responses we have received the end date and time of this event in this particular format. And we have received this date and time according to the Asia Kolkata time zone. But we have to give the date and time, due date and time to TickTick according to UTC time zone. So what we are going to do, we will just change the time zone of this end date and time of our event using a feature, a module of Pabbly Connect called date time formatter. So we will just scroll down, and before this TickTick action step, just click on this add action step button over here. And here in choose app, we are going to search for a module, a feature of Pabbly Connect that is called date time formatter. Just select it. After selecting date time formatter, in action event from the drop down, select format date with time zone and then just click on connect. After clicking on connect, it is asking us for the date. that what is the date whose time zone or format we want to change. So we want to change the format and the time zone of the end date and time of the event which we have received from Google Calendar. So we will just click here, and from the drop down from Google Calendar responses, we are going to select and map that response over here. Let's map end date and time. After mapping this, it is asking us from format, that from which particular format we want to enter these details, from which particular format we have this date and time right now. So here from this drop down, you can see a list of different formats. Out of all of this date and time is currently present in the first format which we have in this drop down. So just select it. After selecting from format, into format as well from this drop down, we have to select that same format once again. Here in from time zone, as we saw that we have received this response according to Asia Kolkata time zone. So what we are going to do, we will just turn on this mapping button and clear this default response. And after clearing it, we are going to map the response of the time zone. So from this drop down from trigger responses, Google Calendar responses, select the response of end time zone and map it. And here in to time zone from the drop down, we are going to search for UTC. Just select it and map it over here. Now after mapping all the details and selecting all the options, just click on save and send test request. And after clicking on save and send test request, here you can see we have received some response. And in this response, you can see the end date and time of the event of the same event, but we have received this end date and time of the event according to UTC time zone. But here the format in which we have received this date is also not the correct format. TickTick has asked us for the due date in a specific format in which after plus we have to add these 4 zeros. But here in the response which we have received from datetime formatter, you can see we have plus 00:00. So what we are going to do, from this response which we have received from datetime formatter, we are going to split this into two parts. We are going to get the date and time before this plus sign, and then after that in the TickTick step, we are going to manually add this plus sign and the 4 zeros. Now you must be thinking how we are going to split this date and time into two parts, how we are going to extract this particular date and time from this response. And for that, we are going to use a feature, a module of Pabbly Connect called text formatter. Just click on this add action step before the TickTick action step, and then here in choose app, search for text formatter. Just select it. After selecting text formatter by Pabbly, in action event from the drop down, select the action event as split text, and then just click on connect. After clicking on connect, here in text to split, we have to map the same date and time which is given by datetime formatter. So from the drop down, from datetime formatter responses, select and map this date over here. Now here in separator, we are going to use the plus sign as the separator because we want to get the date before this plus sign. And here in segment index from the drop down, we are going to select post. And then just click on save and send test request. After clicking on save and send test request, here you can see from this complete date, we have just extracted the date and time. And the plus sign and the zeros after that are now neglected. We have removed it. Now we are going to map this response of text formatter into this TickTick action step in the due date column. So we'll just click on this field, and from the drop down from text formatter responses, we are going to map this response of result. After mapping it, what we have to do, we will just add the plus sign manually and enter 4 zeros after that. That is why it is clearly mentioned that we have to enter the due date over here manually. So we have to enter or map the date over here according to UTC time zone and enter the plus sign and 4 zeros manually over here. After entering the due date, it is asking us all day, that is it a all day task or not. So this is not an all day task, so that's why we have selected false over here. Here in time zone, we can enter the time zone, but right now I just don't want to enter or mention the time zone because the field of time zone is not mandatory, it's not required. And TickTick will automatically change this date and time according to my own time zone. And at last, it is asking us for the priority. Now let's say all the tasks which I'm creating using this action, I want to create all of these tasks as the priority of medium. So from the drop down, I have selected that. So after selecting all the options and mapping all the details in the TickTick action step, just click on save and send test request. Now after clicking on save and send test request, here you can see we have received some response. And this response seems to be a positive response to us. This response shows with the same details which we have mapped over here, a new task is created in our TickTick account. And the task is created under the same project whose project ID we have entered over here. So let's check it. We will go to our TickTick account and we will just refresh this page once. And yes, here you can see after refreshing it, a new task is created in TickTick. The name of the task is Developers Conference, the same task name, same event name which we have entered while creating the event in Google Calendar. Then after that, we will just click here, and after that here you can see the same description of the task which we have added as the event description in our Google Calendar. Also, you can see the due date. The task due date is 22nd of Feb at 6 p.m. So this is the exact same date and time that at what date and time this event is going to get ended in our Google Calendar as well. So in this way, you can see we have successfully created this automation workflow using which whenever we are going to create a new event in Google Calendar, automatically we are going to create a task for that same event in TickTick as well. And after setting up this automation, whenever we are going to create an event in Google Calendar, automatically within 10 minutes for the same event, we are going to create a task in TickTick. And it basically takes 10 minutes of time because the connection of Google Calendar and Pabbly Connect is a polling based connection. And in this type of connection, Pabbly Connect will check for new events in my Google Calendar every 10 minutes. So it basically takes 10 minutes of time to capture the data of the last events which we have created and trigger this automation workflow. So not just these applications, you can connect plenty of other applications with Pabbly Connect. And one more important thing. You will find the clone link of this exact same workflow in the description box below. By clicking on that link, you can clone this exact same workflow into your own Pabbly Connect account and use this automation workflow for free. Also, let me tell you, Pabbly Connect offers you a free plan. And in this plan, you will get some free tasks every month into your own Pabbly Connect account.
If you have any kind of doubts or queries, you can email us at support@pabbly.com or post it on our forum over here. Or you can write us in the comment box below too. If you want to check out the pricing of Pabbly Connect, you can visit this link. And if this video was helpful to you, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Pabbly. So this is it for today's video. Thank you. Have a great day.